There was a time when the financial world marveled at the genius of Charles Ponzi, the man who was in charge of one of the most successful business investments in America. He had millions of dollars at his disposal and crowds of people lining up, literally begging him to take their money. Little did everyone know that Ponzi's business was built on nothing but lies. The whole thing was an outrageous scam, one which turned Ponzi into a very rich man that ruined the lives of thousands of innocent people. Ponzi's deception was so shocking and infamous that even now, 100 years later, the scam still shares his name, the Ponzi scheme. This video is the untold truth of the man behind the scam and how to make millions of dollars of nothing but lies. Charles Ponzi was born in Italy on March 3, 1882. His father was a hard-working postman, and overall his family was financially comfortable, but it used to be so much more than that. Ponzi's grandparents and great-grandparents had all been successful businessmen, merchants, and public officials. The demotion to the working class really affected Ponzi from a young age and made him bitter and resentful. He wondered why he suffered for his family's failing fortunes. Why couldn't he have been born rich and enjoy a life of leisure without having to worry about a job or money as a teenager? Ponzi inherited a modest sum of money following his father's death. He used it to enroll in college as his mother had her heart set on him going to a prestigious college. He'd get an education, but Ponzi had other plans instead of studying and going to class. He decided to have burned through his savings by dressing in the latest fashions and eating at the fanciest restaurants in town. Then at night, maybe the theater or the opera, also gambling at the casino with his wealthy friends. Nothing was too extravagant or expensive for him. Ponzi liked to pretend that he was just like his rich friends and that he had endless money. But it was an illusion, and one day it all came crashing down around him. His inheritance money finally ran, and since his studies had been completely neglected, he had no chance of graduating. His uncle offered him work as a clerk, but the idea of finding a 9-to-5 job repulsed Ponzi, who considered himself too good for menial labor. He felt he had only one choice: left travel to America and strike it rich there. In 1903, Ponzi arrived in Boston aboard the SS Vancouver. He felt a deep shame in his heart that he'd let his mother down. I believe that the only way to redeem himself was to return to Italy as a rich man. The only problem was he had no idea how to do that. America proved to be a much-needed reality check for young Ponzi. There was no more inheritance money, had no more relatives to bail him out of trouble. As distasteful as he found physical labor, he had no choice. If you wanted, he needed to work. Ponzi spent the next few years up and down the East Coast from New York to Florida. He worked as a sign painter, a waiter, a grocery clerk, a dishwasher, a factory hand, an insurance salesman, and a sewing machine repairman. In 1907, Ponzi traveled to Montreal, hoping that Canada would prove to be more welcoming and lucrative. And at first things were looking up for him. He found workers, a clerk at a bank that mainly served Italian immigrants called Banzerossi. It was the same type of job that Ponzi had turned down back in Rome because he considered himself too good for it. But it was surprising how a few years on the streets working for minimum wage could change his perspective. Unfortunately for Ponzi, his new job did not last long because his boss was a conman. So Rossi was using an age-old fraud, known as robbing Peter to pay Paul. In other words, he was using the money from his newest clients in order to pay off his older one. This allowed Rossi to offer 6% interest rates on all bank deposits, which was double the average rate. However, his clients started getting suspicious when their relatives back home kept complaining they weren't receiving the money the bank was supposed to send. In mid-1908, the authorities began investigating the bank for embezzlement, at which point Rossi filled a suitcase with all the cash he could carry and fled to Mexico, leaving his employees and the family to deal with the fallout from the scam, not wanting to be the one who takes the Ponzi intended to travel back to the United States, so he didn't have to be involved in the investigation and fallout from Rossi's scam. But before that, he did something very stupid so that he wouldn't have to start from scratch again. He thought he would give himself a little going-away present by forging a check from one of his bank's clients, a shipping firm called the Canadian Warehousing Company. Ponzi stole a blank check from the manager's checkbook and filled it out for $423.58. A believable and unsuspicious amount for Ponzi, but as soon as he tried to cash the fraudulent check, the bank teller easily spotted the fake signature and alerted the police. Ponzi got 3 years in prison at St. Vincent de Paul Penitentiary. Now, like all, this video has also come to its end, but not the journey. Watch more of our videos to know more, and we'll keep you entertained at the same time.